But meanwhile, I actually have some news to share as well from the United States. While in in Nepal, this tragedy is happening. We are having in the U.S. very close calls of a different sort of manner. That it's terrifying. Well, it is terrifying in a very different respect. Where this plane crash is tragic. This is more worrying in a systemic sense. A GOP candidate, failed GOP candidate, they ran for office and they lost against their Democratic opponent in New Mexico, orchestrated a hit on their Democratic opponent to basically get a hit squad to try to kill them. Here we have an article from CNN. A Republican former candidate for New Mexico's legislature, who police say claimed election fraud after his defeat, has been arrested on suspicion of orchestrating recent shootings that damaged homes of Democratic elected leaders in the state. Solomon Peña, who lost his 2022 run for State House District 14, was arrested on Monday by Albuquerque police, accused of paying and conspiring with 4 men to shoot at the homes of 2 state legislatures and 2 county commissioners, authorities said. It is believed that he's the mastermind behind the shootings that happened in December and early January, the police chief said in a news conference. Let's see. This is kind of, yeah, so he's going to face charges for this. This is like the most violent crime, kind of violent crime that you can get. And since the United States law is such that, I think laws in other places are pretty similar to this as well. If you order the hit, you are directly responsible for the murder. You and the hitman both are responsible for the murder of the person you put the hit out on. And this highlights a trend in the United States, like I discussed in actually another video about an assassination attempt, very botched assassination attempt, on Nancy Pelosi, where a Canadian Nazi came down to California to try to kill her at her home, only to discover she was not there, and tried to kill her husband. And if you remember, in that video, I predicted that the Democrats will not do anything to stop this, and the botched assassination attempts on Democratic officials are going to continue, but each time they might be a little bit less botched than they were last time. The this attempt at a hit was not just a lone wolf assassination; it was much more organized, and they actually shot at the homes. Where I'm not sure. Let me read the details. I don't know if these officials were home or not, but this was a much more coherent and plotting attempt to kill Democratic opponents than the comparatively rabid, in more ways than one, assassin from Canada, or would-be assassin. The conservative news media in the United States is going to do one of 3 things, and I have an opinion on which one of these I think they'll do. They're either going to do what's called a media blackout, where they ignore this event entirely, right? They just don't talk about it. That's possibility number 1. Possibility number 2, they are going to dismiss and downplay the event, going to say that this was relatively insignificant, that this was a lone wolf event, never mind the fact that it absolutely was not. Things like that. Or, possibility number 3, this is what I think they're actually going to end up doing, because we've sort of reached the critical mass. They're going to implicitly defend the actions of this would-be assassin, or of these would-be hitmen. If you recall, again, with the attack on Paul Pelosi, they did the same thing. They implicitly defended the assassination attempt. Governor Youngkin, the governor in my state, went out and said, now violence has no place in the Republican Party, but something has to be done about the woke left, blah blah blah. You know, that kind of rhetoric. So we're gonna see some yeah, but it's very true. We're not in a good political space right now. This is going to be a trend going forward because the law enforcement officials, as much as they are obligated to a certain degree to enforce certain sections of the law, they are not obligated to, in many ways, they're actually not obligated to protect and serve the populace on behalf of whom they are enforcing the law. And in the United States, there is a problem, very pervasive problem, where the far right has infiltrated many different police forces. You know, the police skews very far right in America, to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if at one point the police stopped caring as much about violent attacks and threats of violence by the Republican Party. In fact, I believe I have seen an example of this already, where there was where was it? California, Nevada, someplace that had an assault weapons ban, and there was a small right-wing militia group just sort of hanging out on the sidewalk with their assault weapons and, you know, paramilitary gear, and the cops were milling about doing nothing to stop them. In relation to other fascist states, the sort of direct involvement of the government in enforcing a sort of fascist social agenda is going to be much more limited. But what we are going to see is an increase in violence from renegade right-wing groups, an increase in, like, you know, street violence, and the unwillingness and refusal of the police to, well, police said violence, because the police are more or less in the pocket of certain far-right interests, and will only continue to be even more so in the future if something doesn't drastically change in the way we even conceptualize of a police force. So it's gonna get real ugly real fast. I'm sure if you go to other left-leaning commentators on issues like that, the right-wing violence and this attack, they might have they will probably have more of the same to say. Even the folks on the left who I would have very vehement disagreements with, I think what, you know, like, and by on the left I mean left of, like, mainstream liberal politics, I think would all agree with my take on this particular issue of the increase in systemically at least tolerated right-wing violence in the Republican Party. But I mean, the silver lining for now at least is they got him. They got the guy. You know, he's in presumably right now he's in jail. He will be going to big boy jail, prison, at some point. And, you know, hopefully that'll be that. You know, we won't have to see him again, but we will see somebody else.